Okay. So I'll call the Air Affordable Housing Trust meeting to order at 6:06 p.m. on January 12th, 2022.
Right, and I'm going to call the Air Affordable Housing Committee to order at 6:06 as well on January 12th, 2022. I'll read if you want me to read the text, or do you have the text in front of you, Jake?
Oh, I can read the text.
Okay.
All right. Due to ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2022, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the OLM are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate and alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom, and the public may participate remotely by joining the Zoom meeting. Meeting ID number 818-0509-7403, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Alicia Hersey.
Go ahead, Jake.
So we approve the agenda, Jake, next thing.
Yep. Okay.
I'll make a motion that the agenda be approved as printed.
Okay. Can I hear a second for that?
Seconded.
Okay. So I'll call go for a vote on that to approve the agenda. James?
Here.
Okay. Jeff?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Colleen?
Aye.
And Sean?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we've passed to approve the agenda. So next, are there any changes or any alterations? We'll approve the minutes for our December 8th meeting.
Well, let me go ahead and make sure the committee approves the agenda.
Okay.
All right. Can I have a motion?
Well, I make a motion that the committee approve that the agenda be approved as printed.
All right. Ken, I think you sound like the chipmunk like I used to. Can you second it? Okay, yeah, we can hardly hear you because of your speaker. All right. Yeah, you've got to, I know, I had the same issue. You got to change your speaker to the system or something.
You'd think by now we'd all have this nailed, you
Oh,
know?
This happens every now and then.
I know.
Because again, I go ahead and I have to log in early just so I can test it.
Should we let him back in?
Yeah,
Tell them it costs 50 cents.
all right, well, James made the motion and Ken seconded it. Let me go ahead and go through the roll. Ron?
Yes, aye.
All right, James?
Yes.
Ken?
Aye.
All right, and the chair says aye, so the committee approves the agenda. All right, go for it, Jake.
All right. Are there any changes or any motions to repeat? Or, I'm sorry. Any changes to be made to the minutes for December 8th? If not, can I hear a motion to approve?
I so move.
Seconded.
Second. Awesome. All right, then I'm going to call for a vote. I'll go down the list here. James?
Aye.
Jeffrey?
Aye.
Pat?
Aye. Didn't take.
Colleen?
Aye.
And Sean?
Aye.
All right, thank you. So we've approved the minutes for the December 8th meeting.
All right, and for the committee, any corrections or admissions?
I'm good.
All right, can I have a motion?
I so move.
All right, James?
Second.
All right, Ken? All right, let's go through roll. Ron?
Aye.
James?
Aye.
Ken?
Aye.
And the chair says aye, so we've passed the minutes. Okay, all yours, Jake.
All right, so we're gonna open it up to public comment, if anybody's here for public comment.
Who is EFR? Does anybody else see? Okay, just to
Yeah.
note that someone for public comment.
Mm-hmm. Don't know.
All right, seeing how there's no one here for public comment, we'll move on to our next topic. We'll discuss the update on the rental assistance submissions.
Hi, everyone. You saw my additions to this. We were supposed to be live on this rental assistance program on the 10th. We're ready to go live. I have not put it out there, and I wanted to ask people if they had any comments on the flyer that I put together, which I'll be mailing out and putting online and doing a number of things with, or the landlord piece that we had added in.
Are we gonna put them up on the screen to look at, or are we just gonna do what we did it on our own?
Well, guess what? I didn't arrange to have it put up on the screen, so
Okay,
I had sent them out. I didn't know if people had a chance to look at them. It's pretty basic stuff. It's not.
I do have them open on my computer, so if anybody wanted me to share my screen, I could.
That would be great. Cindy, would that work?
Yes, I just turned screen sharing back on. Oh, there you go.
yeah. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
yeah, the reason I requested that is that I just think it's smart for the public, if there's anybody that watches the meeting, to see the documents. That
Yeah,
way,
no, that's a great idea.
So this is just the basic flyer, which we can put out through the library. I can do a mailing on this, and we'll get it down to Ron and Pat, though they already have it, and put it out on the website. This is just Ron, Pat, and I were brainstorming on ways for us to get this out. I'm going to suggest that we move the dates once more to the 15th. Well, I want to ask what people are thinking. I will put this out tomorrow if everybody's in agreement with it. And do you think we're pushing it to expect to have this by the 1st of March?
Well, I don't think so. I think we leave it that way, and then we'll see what happens. If we don't get anything, then we make another decision.
Okay,
Agreed.
okay. So
Oh.
if people don't see any changes at first, or if people have any ideas of how to get it out there, please put it out, let me know. Ron and Pat were telling me that they have lists for both for landlords, and we can send flyers to landlords. And Cindy and I are working on getting it on social media.
Alicia, may I?
Yes,
Ron, can you turn that off, please? Have you given any consideration to having this made in a postcard format?
yes.
And
we can
mailing
do
it out that way?
We can put this on a postcard. We can scale it down. I'll probably have to take some words out so it's not so, because it won't scale down to a postcard properly without being.
JNS is pretty good about doing that sort of thing. If you just take the flyer to them,
Okay,
they're really good about it, and it's much less, like 20 cents less mailing. If
Really?
you're going to mail out a lot, that's a nice savings.
Well, we have a discount too at the town hall, so,
Okay.
but I'll double check if they want to do the mailing, if we do, because you guys had said you had some lists, so,
Yeah, we
I'll
still
check
mail.
with the CNS tomorrow because I think that's a great idea.
Okay, yeah, because they're really good. They do a lot of that stuff for us and they do a nice job.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Alicia, you said by March 1st, does that mean from the time you process the application till we give out the grants?
We said that we were going to take applications for a month and I was gonna post this on the 10th. It didn't get posted on the 10th because I really wanted to run everything by you guys one more time. So it's gonna be closer to the 15th, so we can run to the 15th, but that only gives us 2 weeks to do all approvals and it all depends. If we get immediate people that we know we've got 5 people and I can start working with them right away to get their landlord information. Remember, we have to actually take the lowest people first. So, but we could still be talking to their landlord and start getting all that information and find out if it's going to be a go. And I can get it done in 2 weeks, but it could get a little bit dicey there. But I think James is right. We can kind of see how it's going and in February's meeting, make a judgment call.
Because we'll have to also have a meeting of the Affordable Trust to review the application. So that would need to get scheduled within that 2-week
Well, the
window as well.
The applications get reviewed by systematic, so as long as they're all scored, they're a scored application. So probably I will be bringing you 5 applications that score X, and I would probably try and have a sense that the landlords are ready to go with this and all that simultaneously. So hopefully we'll have a number of applications before the February meeting, but we might need to do a second February meeting of the trust at the end of the month when we're ready to vote and say, yeah, this is where we're going on that. But that's all doable. So any other input on that?
Alicia, are those dates going to be too tight?
Well, that's what I'm asking, if they're gonna be
Accomplished.
too tight.
Yeah, I'm a little
So-
concerned that it
really
might be by
tight.
the time you get feedback from landlords and tenants and applications in and that sort of thing.
Well,
Well,
was somebody gonna say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say, reading on the flyer, so the flyer just says when the application is due by, but it doesn't indicate that it would start on March 1st. So if we're running into an issue and we had to push the start till like April 1st, it's not advertised when it starts, right?
It's in the guidelines and it's in the, and it's on the application, but I could say the program will start, I can adjust those and say the program will start either March or April 1st. And then that gives us the leeway to make the decision between the two. But we say that applications are due right now on the 10th of March. And I think we have to move that out because we didn't get it, to at least the 15th, but that's the whole question. It depends on how hard it is going to be to get people to understand this program, get them to fill out their applications. And filling out applications we do ask for a lot of financial information, so it might take them a little bit longer to fill out applications. And then we ask the landlord to get, make sure they have an occupancy permit. If they've got children under 7, we ask them to give us a copy of their lead paint certificate. We ask, documentation we need the lease, we need all those things, which for many people, it won't be that hard, but it's just getting documentation to the office that takes time.
Alicia, on the page before this, where it says under 7, it's actually under 6.
I know. I just did what Boxborough did. You want me to change it to under 6?
Well, I mean, it's not, it's 6. Is the law 6 and under? Under 6. Yeah, we've got the law in front of us. It's under 6.
So we can change that to under
Yeah.
6.
Okay.
Okay. Any other changes that, so I'm probably being too optimistic. We've been optimistic through this whole thing and everything has taken longer. So I guess I'm asking whether we should just put the longer in here right up front and give them 45 days to get their applications in instead of just 30 days.
So just move that to the 15th of February.
Well, we would probably.
February
no.
25th.
We would go all the way through February and we would not, and then we'd have, the 45 days would be the 25th, or you could go all the way because then you're not going to pay anyone until April 1st.
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the calendar right now, and I think that makes a lot of sense.
I do,
So-
I do too. It gives them more time.
Yep. The February 28th is a Monday. That gives them a weekend to scurry around and get to, if they need something to get done, that gives them a weekend time if they need a little bit of time. So yeah, I would do February 28th. Applications due on February 28th, which is a Monday. And then a decision will be made April 1st, which is a Friday, or maybe, April 4th or whatever it works out to be.
March, we can do March 15th, we can have a decision made, or March
Yeah.
20th.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably more important to get it done correctly the first time out of the gate than to, and you're gonna have a handful of families looking for this information, and let's minimize the stress on them and to minimize the amount of work you're gonna have to do, Alicia, in communicating with people. There's a problem. Okay.
And a lot of people in this situation are applying for all sorts of things, and it's a lot of work to apply things for help when you're low income, because you are required to create all sorts of documentation. So, and some of them have multiple jobs or whatever it is, and it would just give it a little bit easier. So
Okay.
we'll say we'll have a decision made by I'm going to say March 15th, then we'll have time to have sat down and approved everything and then we'll be ready to write checks for April 1st.
And that's fine, but we need to keep in mind though, most of this information, most of it, they have to use when they fill out anything. So most of this they go have in their present, but I'm not against giving additional dates, that's fine. But I think most when you requesting different grants and whatever you requesting, all this same information you have to use. So I think they'll be able to have it in front of them, I believe.
Well, that was the argument for seeing, we could have 10, 15 applications in the first month and we could pull this off and do it for March 1st. But it's kind of one of those unknown. I actually think one of the biggest things is going to be getting the word out, because it might take 15, 20 days for them to get the word out, and then they only have 10 days to get their information put together. Do people want to vote on it, or do we just want to make a recommendation? I don't think you have to vote on it.
I was gonna say, I'd like to move that we extend the date for the application to be the end of February, February 28th.
Second.
Okay, so we'll call for a vote to move the date. James,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Pat,
Aye.
Colleen,
Aye.
and Sean,
Aye.
and myself, aye. So we voted to move the date for the rental assistance program.
And I'd like to make a motion that the applications be responded to at the earliest, March 15th.
Second.
I'll call for a vote to move the application to March 15th. James,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Pat, Pat,
Aye.
thank you. Colleen
Aye.
and Sean.
Aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, excuse me.
Yep.
The motion said at the earliest March 15th. That's so if we have to move it, we have to move it.
And
in
that's
the wording of
that
the motion.
board respond to the application.
Yeah, so we'll say at the earliest of March 15th. So we can set the expectation that the first time they'll hear is March 15th. Given what's going on, we may have to push a day or two, but we'll get it done. Fair enough?
Oh, that's great. So
Thank
we've all, we agreed. Is there anything else?
Can I make a comment? I may be too sensitive about this lead paint thing, but I'm sitting here thinking, if there were only 4 landlords participating and none of them had a lead-free apartment, wouldn't that be discrimination against family status if somebody had a child under the age of 6?
Well, what is the?
I mean, we face this problem every single day. It's like number one problem when you're renting a property. You can't say to the person, I can't show you that apartment because it's leaded. You can't say that. If we show so we have to show the property. If they like the property and they make application and the landlord really can't find anything wrong with their application, he has to de-lead his property. That's the law.
Now, does he have to rent it to them?
Yes. If
Okay.
he could, he would have to find something on the application that he doesn't like. Now, it could be credit, could be a lot of things. But if they can't find something, then I got to tell you, a good broker representing the tenant is going to say, well, you're denying my tenant because of the child under the age of 6 and that property's leaded. I want it de-leaded.
What can we do about that? I mean, there's nothing we can
Well,
do. Is
the
that?
only thing, the safest thing to do would be no landlord participates without a de-leaded apartment. Of course, that'll really cut back on who's participating.
But will
That
we
would
be,
be
will we be discriminated against those then?
No.
No.
No,
Okay.
because it's the
Because
law.
the law says you cannot rent an apartment with a child under the age of 6. That's not only a state law, it's a federal law.
No, but what I'm saying though, if you just make a blanket statement, if it's not leaded, then they may say, well, I'm only renting to a person over 7. I'm just saying is.
You can't say that because now you're
Okay.
discriminating by age.
Okay, I'm not sure. I'm just curious. That's all.
Oh, I'm sure. Every single thing I've sat before the governing council of the real estate board, he's come up all the time.
So
The other,
problem here,
I can't talk because of your issue.
the other problem here is that if we say that only de-leaded apartments are qualify, we're eliminating a number of elderly, a number of people that are really need aid. And I think that we're going to really limit our pool drastically.
No, I said that. That's what I just said. But my suggestion would be to run it by town council, see what they think, and then we're not the ones holding the problem. Because the penalties are quite steep.
But all we said is you can't participate in the program if you have an under 6-year-old in a non-de-leaded apartment.
Alicia, the thing is, no, you're not.
I don't know what to tell you, I'm off.
Go, Pat.
Okay, the Section 8, the way they do it is if it's more than 1 bedroom, it requires a lead certificate. So if we have elderly, what are the chances they're going to need a 2 or 3 bedroom unit?
So what you're suggesting that we just say if it's more than 1 bedroom, you need a lead certificate.
Correct, because we cannot discriminate against anyone with children.
Okay. Well, that's different than okay, that's a different one. I just don't want to eliminate a handicapped adult, the elderly, any of those people that could use this aid.
Right, so if you have multi-bedrooms, the chances of an elderly couple needing more than one bedroom is slim to none.
Okay,
So if they have more than one bedroom, then it has to have a lead certificate. That's how Section 8 does. And
okay.
they require to have a lead certificate when they make their paperwork for the unit.
So let's just put that into words. So we're just going to, anything over a 1 bedroom requires a lead certificate?
Right,
on that-
multi-bedroom unit.
What do other people think?
I'm going to take the advice of the experts and I go with their advice, Ron and Pat.
I think, Alicia, even in some of the paperwork I sent you, it might have that. The paperwork I dropped off
Yep, yep.
for Section 8, it may have that, where it has the occupancy permits and permits that are required. The lead is one of them, if it's a multi-bedroom.
Okay, so I'll just change the child under 6 to if it's a multi-bedroom unit, landlord needs to supply a lead certificate.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay, that sounds like a good compromise.
Sometimes it might be a letter of compliance, just so you know,
Yep,
okay?
well, there's different kinds of compliance, but yes, I do. Yeah, I'll just double check that on that.
I think they call it a letter of lead compliance.
Yeah, it's a lead compliance. It means that they've covered lead and they've made it, they've
If it's
stabilized.
encapsulated or something.
Yeah, they've stabilized the lead. A certificate or letter of compliance. But see, a letter of compliance is not, does not work for children under 6. That's the other side of it.
Well, it depends on the date of it. If it's current, and I believe it's within 12 months, it will apply because that gives them time to finish up anything they may have needed to do before they get a full certification.
So with the elderly, letters of compliances are fine. It's not, but it's not
Correct.
fine with children. So, okay, we'll go forward. We'll make that change. And I will reach out to town council on it too. Okay, so sorry, I'm just making notes because we don't have our wonderful Cindy here. So are we all set on that then? We can go forward with this rental program at this point? Everybody comfortable?
Yes, I am.
Sounds good. Okay, I'm gonna give it back to you, Jake.
All right, we'll open up discussion for the application for CPA funds.
I went ahead and I looked at the information that Jeff sent to everybody with the updated application. And pretty much, I think I need to ask the trust itself, because this is one thing that CPC will be asking. What is the main goal of requesting new monies? Is it only going to be for rental assistance? Or are we going to start, are you going to start looking at the possibility of building this fund so that if there is some property or there is, a property can be either land or buildings to go ahead and purchase. So again, it does not have to be just for rental assistance. It can be used for that plus other things. So I need you guys
Well,
to discuss that.
But I think at the moment, we should just go with the rental assistance. We can always change down the line. Can we not lock it in forever if we start out with the rental assistance, are we?
Oh,
You know,
you're
if we
not-
want it. So I think we should stick with the rental assistance first and try to get that working down to where we feel comfortable. And then if we want to spread our wings, fine.
Do you think it would benefit the application if we included other ideas and future plans?
No, I'm going to say no. It doesn't benefit it whatsoever. It's more of just proving what the monies are going to be used for. So that's why
Okay.
I'm opening it up for discussion.
So would you recommend that it's more of a specific goal and we have like a plan to present? Like, here's what we're going to do with it. Here's what we've achieved so far.
I mean, there are opportunities to say that within the application. I know Alicia and Colleen have their hands up, so let me see what they want to say.
You want to go first, Alicia?
So I do want to throw something out there that I was going to do in new business, but it might be appropriate here. In the last 2 weeks, I've had calls and talked to 2 different people, 2 women in town who own real estate, who own 2 families. Each of them own a 2-family. Both have very limited means, and both of their rental units are not on the market right now because there's some code issues. And they're applying for one is in the waiting list for my housing rehab program. And I don't have money for her. I'm hoping to apply this summer for the next grant round, and we might have money as early as next January. But right now I don't have any rehab money, and other than I'm doing an emergency rehab right now, but that was only, I had 20,000 there. The second one has not put in an application. I just spoke with her earlier this week. But she's looking to put in an application so that she can get her unit up and running, because she was thinking about selling her house rather than, because she can't afford it, and having the income from a unit would be very, very, she just inherited this house. She cannot afford it, and it would be very helpful for her. But it would also, so it just blew my mind that we have 2 units out there that aren't being rented because they're not up to code. And so I don't know, other than my housing rehab through grants, if there's any other way to, I don't think CPA money can be funded for housing rehab. But I just want people to be putting their thinking hats on. I've mentioned it to Robert, and I've, looking around program income. If I had more program income, that would be good. But this is just another place where money is needed to help people rehab their units and get them online. When I rehab a rental unit and a multifamily, I put a 15-year restriction on it. So it has to be rented to a low mod income person.
So even with that restriction, CPA funds couldn't be used for rehabbing?
The only way CPA funds can be used for rehab is if that building was purchased with CPA funds.
Okay.
That's one of the grid, yes, nos
Yeah.
of what it can be used for. So
Will you renovate when you're doing something like with Calvin on the
Historic.
fire station?
Historic.
it's historic, and as well as housing. It puts it, it's not considered renovation, it's the creation. We are creating, and I mean, now that I'm saying it, I can double check to make sure.
So I put a deed restriction on it. I don't make it a lip unit. I put a deed restriction on it for 15 years, and it has to be rented to a low to moderate income unit. And in my rehab, I can only spend 35,000 on it. So that's the max I can spend on that unit. And it's got a deed restriction. The person does not have to pay back the grant if they stay there for 15 years, but they do have to rent it, that unit, to a low to moderate income person for 15 years.
You know what, let me go ahead and let me research it, because you do bring up some, again, if we're creating, which means like we're almost starting it from scratch, then we can do a rehab. So let me do the research and see if there's a way to word it.
And understand, we should have, we should hopefully win this grant and get more money for the rehab. And it's really about a year out. So it's not the end of the world. We can get it done in the next year and a half. It's just surprising that there are units still out there sitting empty.
Well, see, this is why, I'm asking, like, say, with the application itself, this is going to be going to spring meeting. All right. And with it going to spring meeting, if we're considering doing these types of rehab, we can use the housing trust monies. All right. Instead of, it will be the funneling of CPC and it's going to be affordable. So I think that, is a way to push it through and make sure that we get the monies quick. Because if we try to do it, like, say, just with CPC funds itself, of a different application itself for CPC for her, I take that back. I mean, it's like, I think this is the discussion we're having to make sure that the housing trust can be used, CPC funds, and do it for the rehab. So never mind.
And it could only be for rehab in rental units to be rented for low to moderate income.
Of course.
Any other rehab.
Agreed.
And we would have to write guidelines for that and make sure that so sometimes you recoup that money. And so if there was any program income from it, it would go back into the trust. That
Exactly.
sort of.
Exactly. All right, Colleen?
Yeah, I mean, I'm now even more convinced of what I was going to suggest. Part of me thinks we have the CPC funds. We're getting more money from the state because we moved to the 3% surcharge. And so my instinct is we should be building up the trust. Both I'd like to see us ask for, and I don't know what the right number is, more rental assistance money, so we can expand beyond 5 families moving forward into the next year. But then I'd also like to see us ask for money to build up that fund for acquiring more low income housing opportunities. And if something like you were just talking about, if the housing trust could fund a rehab to make these 2 units affordable, that to me sounds like it meets the goals of the trust if if we are allowed to use the funds since they came from CPC. But it sounds like maybe we would be able to. So I'd like to see us consider both as part of the funding application to CPC.
Ken?
Yeah, Madam Chair. I'm leaning towards what Colleen said. I had kind of the same idea, but I want to approach it a little differently, Colleen, if you think about this. I think we made a good presentation at the last fall town meeting, the spring town meeting, and got the fund, the $30,000. I tend to try to repeat that activity, but with a higher amount of money so we could influence, the rental assistance program more. Then I would be thinking in terms of a second approach, which would be the rehab approach as a second article, maybe not this year, but next year as we do build up the funds. So we could take, for instance, that Alicia presented a situation that's kind of interesting. A person inherited the property. It might be, that would probably be a type of property that we could potentially buy with funds, either CPC or housing trust, and then rehab both properties under a program. The person will walk away with some negotiated price, and then the town would end up with two rental units. I don't know, but my mind is it might be too confusing for town meeting to blend the 2 things together, but rather to take it as 2 separate pieces. Concentrate on increasing the rental assistance now, and then put together another package that comes in the following year with the housing rehab situation involved, as well as rental assistance. I don't know if you can blend them or not. I'm just not sure.
Well,
I'm
my only,
trying to figure out how you get an answer to your question. How should the application be written up? If it's as simple, I guess, to just put both categories in there, then that's the end of it. We have 2 members here. If they buy into that, then I guess we're on our way with one application with 2 categories.
my only concern, I wanted us to be able to show some success
Yep.
on completing something. That's why I didn't want us to spread out too wide.
Mhm.
That was my only concern. When you asking voters for money, the question will be, what did you do with the other money? If we can't show that we've been successful in doing something, there's a good chance they're not gonna keep voting yes. So this is the only reason I didn't want us to get spread out too thin. I would like for us to at least try to work this piece through and get some kind of success before we try to expand it. That's where I was coming.
Yeah, I agree with what James is mentioning there. Keep it simple maybe and make a success story out of it.
I'm gonna go ahead and just, you gotta remember too, that there's a Springtown meeting and a Falltown meeting.
Right.
So we can go ahead and have a continuation of, you know, hold on a second. I don't want the cat to move the cursors. So again, we can continue with the 30,000 or maybe up it to 50, knowing that we wanted to probably go ahead and help more than just 5 individuals. So this way here, if you increase it just slightly, then it's, you know, we will know by April how, quote unquote, how successful the rental assistance has been for at least approximately 1 month. So then this way here, again, looking at the 50,000 just for the rental assistance, and then at the fall town meeting, then we could go ahead and say, all right, the new monies that have come in. And James, this is monies that, you know, are coming into the CPC anyway. So it's not like we are asking people for more money. This is coming out of the category for housing. So with that, then at the fall town meeting, we can say the Housing Trust is then looking for additional funds to help out with rehab and opening up a door to rehab. I mean, these are opportunities that are probably by the wayside. I mean, Alicia, this to me, this will, you know, give us a chance to get more word out going, hey, wait a minute, I do have a duplex and this is just, you know, not duplex, but whatever, multifamily, and it's just sitting there doing nothing. If I can go ahead and get some assistance, then we get more affordable housing or, you know, complexes, apartments to rent. So yeah, I mean, I think splitting it up between the two might be a good idea. Yeah, Alicia.
I'm gonna say Sean. Go.
I was just gonna say, I agree with Janet's approach there. I would say for spring, if we could not 50, but ask for 60, so we could make it 10 families, you know, just double it. But I think that idea kind of also speaks to how Ken was saying, it allows you to split those projects up and possibly have it a little bit more flushed out. You know, as separate projects presented at separate times, it might be easier to understand or digest.
Is there any reason to not put it all off till fall town meeting? Because the 30,000 we're spending is going to run through to next March or April.
I think there's a reason.
Okay.
If we put it in last Springtown meeting, I think we should keep it in the same slot that it was a year ago.
Got it.
Springtown meeting is when CPA gets their funds, so everybody will be seeing the monies that, you know, be acquiring. So with that, it's like, okay, now what are you going to do with it? The more that we can, you know, list, I mean, we've got 4 projects that are going to be listed for requests this time around at spring. So and again, Peroni Park is hopefully going to be one of them, you know, the Kitty Depot. So they were going to see that we are taking in the monies, but also to spending it on projects within the town. So I think it'd be good to do spring and do the fall.
I agree. And I think we'll also have just gotten through our first set of funding awards. We'll know how many more people like could have benefited if we had more money for more projects. And it lets those who maybe didn't make the cut first time around know that next time there'll be more, you know, more spots able to be funded. So I like the idea of asking for 60 for Springtown meeting and then, you know, spending the time between now and the fall town meeting fleshing out, you know, kind of what we might want to ask for rehab and acquisition of housing.
So I'm going to suggest that Jake might talk, Colleen, I mean, Janet, could you possibly talk about what the process that the trust needs to do to get this application to you and, or to CPA?
Yep, this is what I was just gonna do. If you want to, I'm available to assist. Okay, and Jake, if you want me to, I can work with either you or Colleen. All right, because again, this way here, it would be, or anybody else, you know, from the trust. Do the verbiage because it needs to now come from the trust, not from the committee. We need to go ahead and make sure that all the goals are set and the dollar amount is set. And I think, you know, some of the questions that Jeff had on his feedback, again, we get the support from all the same departments and committees and such. So I think everything else pretty much stays the same. Now, the number of hours that, you know, we're going to be looking at is still to be determined because it depends upon what you're going to be needing to do, Alicia. So all that pretty much stays the same. I don't, those were just, you know, pretty much the questions that Jeff had brought up. And I think we just answered them tonight. So Jake, would you want me to go ahead and work with someone from the trust? Do you want to be it or do you want?
Yeah, I have no, I mean, I have no issue with, working on this and, being there for the application and, presenting it. I mean, if anybody else is interested in taking the lead, they can most certainly do that. Or if they want to assist, any assistance is, appreciated.
Jake, I'm certainly happy to help. I sit on CPC, so I don't know if it's maybe better for me not to, but I'm certainly happy to help. And I will be there at the CPC meeting when it gets presented, as you know, can provide backup there too.
That's great to hear. Thank you, Colleen. I appreciate it.
All right, then Jake, I'll go ahead and as long as you don't mind, can I present an updated application at the next meeting? Let's see, that's going to be in February. This all has to be done because the trust will need to do a public hearing, and we're planning on the public hearing, and Colleen can correct me. I think it's at the end of March. Okay.
Yes, that is what we decided on.
Yeah, so CPC is planning on having a public hearing with all these 4 projects at the end of March. So I think, yeah, that would give us time, like I say, to review the application. Is that all right with you, Jake?
No, certainly. That sounds good. We definitely will have some time to work things out and figure out some of the verbiage.
Excellent. Thank
So
you.
Janet, we would present this to CPC at the February meeting so that they would move it on to the public hearing in March, right?
It'd be more than likely the March CPC meeting in the beginning.
Although isn't the March CPC meeting the other stuff? So a 5-year plan.
It's the 5-year plan. However,
But I just wanted to make sure whether we needed to make sure everything was ready for the February meeting or whether there would still be time on that March agenda with the 5-year plan.
yeah,
Stuff.
I think we're going to need to go ahead, have the trust approve it before it gets moved. So it's going to have to be March, and we're just going to have a longer March meeting.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Janet, just for clarification, just a simple technical question. You guys on the CPC have anticipated that you'll have the 2-week advertising period. You've got enough time between. Okay, thank you.
That's why it's at the end of March.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we do it right afterwards.
Do you need a vote on the 60,000?
Yes, they do.
Jake, you're going to need to take a vote on the 60,000.
Okay. Do I need to make a motion to do that, or can I just call for a vote?
No.
You need somebody to make a motion,
Okay.
not,
I'll
Can I,
motion it.
can I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll call for a vote. James,
Yes,
Jeff is no longer with us. So Pat,
Yes,
Colleen,
Aye.
and Sean,
Aye.
and myself saying aye. So we'll go forward with it was a 60,000, right?
Yes.
Okay, we'll go forward with the
Correct.
60,000.
And I'll be working with the application with you, and it'll be available for our February meeting.
That'll be great. Thank you.
Thanks for doing that, Trust. I think that's a good idea.
Agreed.
All right. So is there any further discussion for the CPA funds or anything else? Anything anybody else would like to add? No. Okay. We'll move on to our Air Commons update.
I wish I had more to say. I don't. We're still waiting on the state. So unfortunately, there's nothing to update quite yet.
Okay. We'll move on to the tax title properties. If anything, if there's no other, if there's nothing else anybody wants to add for the Air Commons, Jan, I don't know if you wanted to take over the tax title properties or if you want me to.
No, I can go ahead because there's really nothing additional to report other than the properties that we looked, that are on that list. 98% of them are undevelopable. They're either residential, industrial, or commercial. So it's the ones that that have the possibility. Again, majority of them are small, just like I had stated, the last time. And with that, one thing that I have done is I've gone to conservation meeting, gone to the planning board meeting, and I've spoken a little bit with Mark Archambault, where it looks as if we might get a type of working group together to look at when properties do come available, or like keep our eyes open, because over at the conservation meeting, there was a woman who said, how come we're not really actively watching Zillow or Redfin or anything else like that? And it's like, we pretty much told them we're volunteers, and it's difficult to keep your eyes open for things that are available. So it's more of asking individuals, within town to, see what could be available and such. So again, I spoke with members of the planning board, conservation, as well as, like I say, we've got CPC, to see whether or not just get a working group so we can just be discussing it. And this way here, it's not part of, open meeting. It's just so that the group can discuss it. And Jeff spoke a little bit with Carly and town manager about it, so that we can go ahead again, come up with a goal, type of deliverables, and just get something, in motion, so that hopefully items like, maybe, properties don't just fall through the crack because we didn't find out about it. So I think, having different members of different committees might work out well, because then we can ask, come back to this committee, come back to Housing Authority, come back to Conservation, which has a map of different lands that they are interested in, as well as the planning board and the land use group, which the land use group, again, for individuals, used to be called the planning and development group. That even though they're now calling those departments like DPW and planning and conservation, land use, so that it goes ahead and shows what they're going to be doing with the land, not necessarily looking for land. So it would be nice to be able to take that next step. And that's one thing that we discussed last night during the planning board meeting. So I think that, like I say, it works out well. Going back to the tax title properties, there really isn't anything, that is forthcoming for, like, say, oh, let's buy this house for Habitat for Humanity, anything that showed up like that. But again, we've been working, Alicia and I've been working with Barbara, so that we could, as a town treasurer, Barbara Tierney, and see if there's anything that comes, to a head and such. So that's pretty much the update. Any questions?
Jake, through you can I ask Janet a question?
Certainly, yeah.
Oh, okay, so Janet, thanks for the explanation. And I do have a problem, like you, with the name of that group in town hall, called the land use group, very confusing. So I'll leave it up to Sean to change the name of that to something else. But I had a question for you, Janet. As you research this, are you looking, do you have in mind I want to say a number of acres or a number of square feet of land and lots that you are looking for? So we have a goal that says, you're looking for a lot that's at least 1 acre, or it's 3/4, something like that, with the thought that it would land a minimum of a 2-family home on it, let's say, for instance, or something. You have something in mind. That's what I'm trying to ask. Or that you would think in your mind as you go out and look for these properties, that this is kind of what we need, similar to what was on Central Ave, where they were able to put a 2-family down there.
Yeah, it's got to be a sizable lot, at least more than, I'm gonna say, half an acre.
Okay.
The other smaller properties that are available, like there's one small one that is like in Pingree Way, I believe, or Pingree Hill, that may be able to be a nice place for a pocket park, a garden. So I'm looking at it with two hats, CPC as well as housing, because if there is some land available, instead of having it just go to waste, it might be nice to be able to have community-run projects, just like the community garden is, even though it's DPW assists and such, it's still run by a group of individuals. So it's a twofold thing to answer your question, Ken. If it's going to be something large enough, then that'd be something that we could probably build upon. If not, it might be something that the community itself, the neighbors, can go ahead and take over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so Jake, again, through you to Janet, the reason I was asking that is because there's a whole other piece that I mentioned before. I think it's called town-owned land. When you get through with the tax title stuff, I'd suggest that you look at the town-owned property. Not, for instance, I might tear up that garden and put a house right there for affordable housing rather than just have a community garden on it. But that's what I'm not sure about. I'm not sure the exact what you're looking for. I guess the goal of if we were on the affordable housing side, would be to find a piece of land that then would be eligible for a Habitat or someone else to come in and develop. So we would secure a piece of property as a town, and then we would solicit legitimate organizations like Habitat that could build on the land and then have it available with the deed restriction. I'm just walking it through what I think the goal would be. So
Yes. I'm going to agree with that.
okay, so I'm interested in looking at many parcels that the town has that potentially could be broken away. This is the same kind of exercise that another group is going to be going through for the senior senior center. So in concert with a research for that, probably could come up with a research that, goes along the same lines. And we might find that there's a piece of property the town owns. It's right there somewhere. Maybe right next to the community garden.
There's a lot of land back there with the community garden.
So anyhow, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Anything else? Okay, I'll hand it back to you, Jake.
Okay, moving on to the Devon's Crest update. Jan, I don't know if you had anything for this. I don't know if you want to take this over or.
Pretty much, I'm just gonna give it to Alicia because all I know is that they received $250,000, and I've only seen it in the newspaper. But do you have any update, Alicia?
Yes, Connie Sullivan and Tara, I don't know what Tara's last name is, asked to meet with Alan and I. And we met the first week of January. And they explained that the 250 was for legal costs to fight the evictions. And that a number of people who had received their eviction notices had gone to court. And it looks like I did not totally understand their understanding of the court. I know someone that I'm working with who actually looks like they're probably going to get into senior housing, possibly at Pleasant Street. But who went to court, and Brady Sullivan did not show up for the court date. And according to Connie, it looks like it's all been put off for a year. So everybody who's been who's gotten evicted notices, it looks like it's going to take at least a year from now. So everybody's there, they're paying their rent. They're right now housed for the next year, probably. Connie suggested that it was going to go to jury trial. I've never known housing court to go to jury, but I might not be understanding what they're taking this on to, because maybe they're suing Brady Sullivan. I don't understand the legal on this. And I didn't get into that with him. They were just giving us a timeline. So right now, with the evictions that are in process, it looks like it's going to be at least another year is their best estimate, which is good news for everybody there. Everybody's paying the rent and doing what they can. And the people that I'm working with are actively looking to, I'm not working with a lot of the tenants in the Tenants Association. I'm working with other people who've said that they want to try and get out. Elderly people who are waiting on waiting lists and things like that, or looking for units that they can afford. And slowly people are finding places, but it's very slow, but the fact that they have more time to keep looking is a good thing. The other thing that we talked about is that they wanted to let us know that they were going to go for eminent domain and bring it as a citizen's position to town meeting at some point. And we reiterated that the town does not advise that. We don't think it's a good position for the town. They told us that they have a nonprofit that they're working with, and that they would very much like the town to support them on that. We talked about costs and what the costs would be. Now, they're talking about getting estimates for those costs. So, I'm giving them some information about people I use to get estimates, contractors and rehab specialists and things like that. And we're listening to what they're telling us and what's going on with it. And they basically said that they thought they would end up going for eminent domain. Whether that's going to fly or not, that's a long court process. First it's a town meeting process, and then it's a court process. So that's where they're at. They think they have a good case. And I reiterated, both Alan and I reiterated that we are very much concerned and interested in, the housing people from the Devon's Crest situation. The town position that has been taken by the select board and the town manager, and to a certain extent, our recommendation too, is that we feel that it's going to be a very costly process to try and take those properties, that property.
That and also too, Brady Sullivan has to be, looking to sell the property back.
Well,
So-
that's what we explained to them, is that, and I can say this right here. We also talked to Robert afterwards on this, and Robert said that every single time he talks to Brady Sullivan, he asks them if they're willing to sell. And he asks them if they're willing to meet with the town and the Tenants Association to sit down, and they say no to both of those things. And it's been a question asked multiple times. So we gave them that information too, that the town is asking those questions. And so that's just where they're at. And it's just was an update, and it was all very respectful. And we reiterated, we're trying to bring help into the town. We're trying to bring housing into the town, and we're reaching out to the Devon's people. And I'm working with a number of Devon's people who are trying to find housing. So that's what I have on that. And so, yeah, Sean.
It just question sort of like on the same topic, but not necessarily that part. Did we ever find out from town council what their opinion was on the term develop? Remember we had discussed how if they were going to be required to like make a portion of that affordable housing because of the massive rehabilitation it would take. Do you know if we ever heard back from them or?
No, we haven't heard back on that. And I'm trying to think, it was kicked forward to I don't know if it was officially sent to town council. It was brought to a number of departments in town, but that's a good catch, because we probably should send that straight to town council.
Excuse me, through Janet to Sean. So that's the question I brought up and discussed with the building commissioner as well. And he thought it was a stretch, but I don't think it's much of a, I think we should pursue it. So the idea was that we have an inclusionary housing provision in our zoning bylaws. And the language of that paragraph might give us a little wiggle room. But there was a second part of it too that, was if inevitably the process goes ahead and we do work with the developer, we want to be in a position that the developer, complies with what we're looking for in town, and that we'd have a chance to get some of the affordable units back. They might not be affordable under the rents that they're paying there now, but they would be affordable under the state laws, as you know, the state affordable housing regulations and whatnot. But, I do have one tiny bit of
Functioning correctly.
if anyone doesn't know it, and that they've pulled somewhere in the vicinity of 20 to 25 repair permits over there. So I don't know if people knew that or not. These are electrical, plumbing, and HVAC, according to Charlie Schultz. So there's been some work permits pulled, but they're not building permits, because I've been following up on that to try to determine if they've been pulling any building permits. They haven't pulled any, but he told me that a number of mechanical and electrical permits have been pulled for repairs, I guess. And thanks for the info, Alicia.
Thanks, Ken, for that update as well. Alicia, you'll be able to ask town council?
Yeah.
All right, that sounds great. I think that's it, Jake, for Devon's Crest. We got the update.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for your input. We'll move on to new business. I know Alicia had already discussed the rehab building program. I didn't know if there was anything else to add for new business.
So, Jake, through you.
Yep.
Actually, I'm going to maybe ask Ken because he went to the same meeting that I did today to talk a little bit about, I don't know if this is something that is great for here. It's more of a planning board thing, but I think it's an interesting aspect for everybody. The governor has put in, well, I guess it's law that was voted in with the new zoning laws that they passed about a year ago. Was it 2021 or 2020?
Just a year ago. Just a year ago, 2021. The housing choice zoning reforms, housing choice zoning reforms, it was called.
Yes. And so it requires that towns that have mass transit, different forms of mass transit, and we have a train station, create a certain density of housing around the train station or within the envelope of that. Alan's been crunching numbers ever since this came out because it talks about 15 units per acre for that envelope and have zoning that encourages this. Because the town passed the form-based code, in the form-based code district, that does allow for 15 units per acre easily, often more than that. But that wasn't enough. We needed 50 acres. The good piece of news that we heard today at the webinar was that it didn't have to be contiguous. We only needed 50% of that around the train station. So the form-based code is on about 25, 26 acres, okay, on the downtown section. But you could have the other half not be contiguous to the downtown code. And so we can use the form-based code on West Main Street to count, because that's about 36 acres. So both of those allow for 15 units per acre. So we believe we already are in compliance with this new code, and we're one of very few towns that are. And so we've had one problem, Alan and I have, every time we go to get qualified for housing choice certificate, they talk about 40R zones and building envelopes versus form-based code, because they're not very fluent in the concept of form-based code. So I never am able to count our form-based code on that requirement. So I've told Alan he's got to go and get them to approve that, because the zoning all fits. They just don't know the terminology. They want 40R.
One of the significant, I'll follow up with just a couple of things. One of the significant things that was mentioned in these changes is that I think there's 3 different grant programs that cities and towns will not be eligible for unless they put these provisions into law, these zoning changes. And I'm very proud to say that it looks like Ayer is ahead of the game here and could very possibly be in compliance. And I think the grants they talk about are grants we've already got in the past, Alicia, right? In one form or another.
Getting a housing choice grant, but there was another grant that Alan.
The Mass Works we got already.
Yeah, and we've gotten a MassWorks grant, but that's for future grants too. I mean,
Yes.
This is going to knock people out for a while.
Right.
And so, but there was another one that I'm missing off the top of my head because my memory is not what it should be anymore. That Alan was very interested in immediately, and we'll probably take a look at that and we'll update people on that one. So it's good news. And everybody's done a good job because you guys all did this. You passed it, you supported it, you championed it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything to add for new business? No? All right, we'll move on to old business. Is there anything to add for old business?
I don't
No?
have anything.
No? Okay. Lastly, we have to discuss some upcoming meetings. We have to, anybody want to throw some dates out there and when we'd like to meet next? Whether we're going to meet as both the committee and the trust, or are we going to do individual meetings?
The committee, do you want to go ahead and look through some of this tax title properties early in February?
I'm
Some of
fine
the-
with it.
You're fine with meeting as a committee?
Yep.
Ron?
Yes, I'm all set.
Okay, I know James is on the phone. I didn't know if James would want to be able to meet. When in the beginning of February might be good? Do you think you guys can do the morning of the 4th? That's Friday the 4th? Go back to having a Friday morning meeting?
I can do that.
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay, right now we've got 3 of us, so we'd have a quorum. I'll check with James and see whether or not he might be able to make it on Friday the 4th. So Jake, it looks like the committee itself will meet on the 4th. Again, I'll be able to go ahead and work on that application.
What
So
time on-
can we do, I'll check 10 o'clock? Like I say, I'll finish up the application and then the trust can go ahead and review the application at another time and we'll have separate meetings.
Certainly, yeah. I don't know if the trust wanted to have any input on the application or review it and vote on it. I know you had suggested that you were going to assist us, Janet, and I know Colleen was going to provide some help. Does anybody want, what dates work for people for the trust in February?
Would that following Wednesday evening work, the 9th?
Yeah, that
Yes.
was what I was gonna say.
Yeah, that works for me as well.
What time works best for you guys on the 9th? Do you want to do 6 p.m. again? You want to do 7?
At 6 would be great for me.
Yeah, I agree. 6 is good.
Yep.
Okay, so I got February 9th, 6 p.m. If we need to change something or if that doesn't work for anybody, I'm sure we can accommodate and we can figure out some other dates. But that works for me.
So I'm gonna just, sorry, Jake, through you.
no
Let's,
worries.
I think the 6th sounds great, but we sometimes fall on a couple Wednesdays a month. Is something that I think it's the library that we conflict with and possibly cultural council. So I'd love to do it as early as the 9th. That would be a lot more convenient. But if we had to, did you want to put as the second date, the following Wednesday after that?
What
Which is-
about doing it the 10th?
Oh, okay.
Is
That's
that an
good.
option?
Well, I'll double check. I just like to have 2 dates
Okay.
when I'm checking in. So February the 10th.
Does that work for everybody else?
Is that a Thursday? I cannot do a Thursday night.
No, that is a Thursday, sorry.
Would Wednesday the 16th work for everyone?
That
I
works
can make
fine
that.
for me.
So I'll check with Carly and just confirm, we'll aim for the 9th. That will be our first choice.
Yeah, that sounds great. So we'll do February 9th at 6 p.m. and then if that doesn't work, we'll meet again on the 16th at 6 p.m.
Sounds good.
Alicia, how soon could we have notice of that?
I'll check with her tomorrow.
Thanks.
And
All
if
right.
it's a calendar, I'll send out choices and let everybody respond.
All right. Is there anything else anybody else would like to add this evening or? No? All right. So we'll call and make a motion to call for a close of the meeting.
Second.
Second, okay. So we'll be closing our Air Affordable Housing Trust meeting.
Yep. Can I hear a motion to close the committee meeting?
So moved.
Yeah, could you hold on 1 second, please? Second.
All right. Okay, and the committee meeting has closed as well. I'm just gonna say, make sure everybody keeps warm.